Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here on January 15th, 2026. My name is Mike Kelly. I'm the Chair of the Board of County Commissioners here for Johnson County, Kansas. We are here for our Board of County Commissioners meeting. At this time, I'd ask the clerk to please call the roll of the elected.
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer here.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick here.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Here.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
All are present. We have a full quorum and a duly constituted meeting. At this time, I'd invite those who are able to join and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. At this time, would you all join me in checking your cell phone or any other noise-making device that you might have brought with you today and making sure that it is turned to silent or turned off? We very much appreciate your cooperation and respect for everybody else who's participating in today's meeting. Just as a moment of housekeeping, I'd like to note that we are continuing our pilot program for the form of county meetings. Today's meeting will be focused on more procedural and routine business items, but will allow for more time for study session and committee of the whole, as opposed to time-sensitive matters or more concrete business items, which will be handled next week. However, at these administrative sessions, there are time-sensitive items that can be added to the agendas, and we'll see one of those items today. But thank you for your patience as we try this new process to see how effective we can be in our meetings. There will also be a study session and a committee of the whole both this morning and this afternoon that will take the majority of our working time here today. However, this being a meeting, we do have public comments. It's an opportunity for folks to address the commission on county business that does not appear on today's agenda. If you do want to speak on an action item, we do ask that you register with that action item in advance and that you refrain from speaking on an action item during this general public comment session. When you do come to the dais, we ask you to state your name. We ask you to state the community in which you reside. We do limit these comments to 2 minutes. If you happen to go beyond that 2-minute time period, we'll give you an opportunity to conclude your comments. But in fairness to everybody else, if you continue, we will ask that you stop and step aside from the dais. During these public comments, we do ask for civility. We ask that you refrain from remarks that are personally offensive or impertinent or profane or slanderous, or comments that would insult or demean any persons or groups of persons. If we happen to stray into that kind of public comment, we will provide a warning. If it happens to continue, we will ask that you step away from the dais. We do accept public comments virtually, though I don't believe we had any virtual public commenters registered for today's meeting. Therefore, we'll call those who have registered for in-person public comment in the order that they registered. We start today with Mr. Brian Perkins.
Good morning. Brian Perkins here, currently residing in Kansas, and I'm homeless. Last week, when I left the meeting, I was waiting out underneath the overhang because it was pouring, but I had an Uber coming, and there was a sheriff that walked up to me, but before about 90 feet away, he said, "Did you speak yet?" And I was a little caught off guard, but come to find out, he really came to learn, and he expressed, as a person, not as a sheriff, that he has an arrogant side to this homelessness. It's a touchy topic. It's not comfortable. I'm not popular up here by any means. I'm not touching a fun topic, but it's a needed one. And I really appreciate his vulnerability. I understand it's a gap or an area that's hard to break through at times, but it's a common thing. And it's not a fun discussion to have, but this journey's humbled me. It's taught me things that I didn't know I need to be humbled in. It showed me areas where, you know what, I probably should have worked in those a long time ago that I know I needed to. But that's where I feel the unity and the work also needs to be done. Again, providing the one-size-fits-one manner. It's like May 25th, I think it was 1986, across from New York all the way to Long Beach, California, 6 million people for 15 minutes held hands together. And I think it was called Hands Across America. And they held hands. It was a time of unity. I believe funds are raised, don't quote me, but I think funds are raised to help feed people. And just for that moment, there was from a celebrity standpoint, but also the community standpoint, holding hands together in times of need. Today's just some great first steps. We just got to keep the momentum going. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we will have Ben Hobart.
Ben Hobart, Westwood Hills. Chairman Kelly and Commissioners, the trend of our chairman to eliminate transparency and to ramrod procedural and policy changes is troubling. In your January 8 meeting, Chairman Kelly moved the note for the record about an ad hoc real estate group from the beginning of the meeting to the end in his commissioner comments. The ad hoc group of 3 commissioners, the chairman and Commissioners Brewer and Myers, is objectionable for several reasons. One, implicitly, the chairman has indicated he does not believe staff is competent to address the framing of the issues. 2, the meetings are not subject to the Kansas Open Meetings Act, and as a result, it destroys transparency of process. Why instead isn't there a study session open to all commissioners and the public? 3, the ad hoc group is on a higher footing of knowledge when the issues and alternatives are presented to the full board. Some commissioners are in the know, others not so much. This creates classes of importance on the board and engenders conflict. 4, the chairman's participation in the group has the inevitable result of government by cronyism. One only has to recall this chairman's blindsiding of the board with a letter of intent to be signed with the Greater Kansas City Home Ownership Initiative, a Van Trust affiliated entity, at your April 3, 2025 meeting. Chairman Kelly did not disclose that the law firm with which he is senior counsel served as agent for both Van Trust and that entity. Chief Counsel Trent also acknowledged she had not been informed of that fact. 5, the inclusion of the chair and 2 board members on the group means the chairman can dictate the course of the discussions, the alternatives, and ultimately the conclusion. All the chairman needs is one other genuflector on the board to approve the fait accompli. The ad hoc group effectively
Thank you very much, Mr.
usurps
Hobart.
the
Your
board's
time has-
decision-making.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hobart. That's all the general public commenters that we have registered for today's meeting, so we'll move on at this time to the consent agenda, as there's no notes for the record today. There's been a request to remove items 6 and 7 from the consent agenda. Therefore, I'll ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended. Commissioner Hanslick.
I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Allenbrand, second.
So moved by Commissioner Hanslick and seconded by Commissioner Allenbrand. Would the clerk call the roll on the consent agenda as amended, please?
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye, we have 7 in favor and none against. Is that consistent with your count?
It is.
Very good. We'll move on to item number 6, which is a nomination for 2 members to the Johnson County Public Art Commission. Commissioner Ashcraft, you asked for this item to be removed. Comments, questions? Sir?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, Mr. Chairman, with the change in the process and no agenda review, my previous objection no longer has standing. So I just wanted to take a moment and recognize and thank Gregory Maines, he goes by Greg, for being willing to be reappointed to this. Mr. Maines is a retired executive, very fiscally minded, and I think makes a good addition for this board. And I am happy to nominate him and more than happy to make the motion if allowed.
I'd be happy to allow you to make that motion. Just want to make sure there were no other comments on this item, but seeing none at this time, why don't you go ahead and make that motion, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Board of County Commissioners approve Resolution Number 008-26, appointing the 1st District Commissioner's nominee, Gail James, and the 5th District Commissioner's nominee, Gregory Maines, to the Public Art Commission.
Ellenbrand, second.
So moved by Commissioner Ashcraft and seconded by Commissioner Allenbrand. Not seeing further questions or comments on this item, so I'd ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Ellenbrand, aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye, that's 7 in favor and none against. Is that consistent with your count?
It is.
Very good. So at this time, we'll go to what was number 7 on your agenda, and that is also a 5th District Commissioner's nominee, this Andrea Watts, the Johnson County Juvenile Corrections Advisory Board. Commissioner Ashcraft, you've asked for the opportunity for questions or comments. Sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Not repeating myself from the previous, those observations stand, but I wanted to thank Ms. Watts for being reappointed. And I also want to thank legal counsel. There was a little bit of confusion about the category in which my nomination could be made. That was worked out. I appreciate her and her staff working with me to continue Ms. Watts on this appointment. She's very enthusiastic about this board. She's an educator, lives in Johnson County all of her life, and I wanted to thank her for serving. And would be happy to make the motion, sir.
Thank you, sir. I see no further questions on this, so why don't you make that motion, please?
I move that the Board of County Commissioners approve Resolution Number 009-26, appointing the 5th District Commissioner's nominee, Andrea Watts, to the Johnson County Juvenile Corrections Advisory Board.
Ellenbrand, second.
So moved by Commissioner Ashcraft, seconded by Commissioner Allenbrand. Seeing no further questions or comments at this time, will the clerk call the roll, please?
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Ellenbrand, aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye. We have 7 in favor and none against. Is that consistent with your count?
It is.
Very good. Thank you very much. We'll move on at this time to what's item 11 on your agenda, and this is a request to allocate additional funds to Project 1020 to fund hotel motel vouchers for overflow cold weather shelter needs. This item was presented by Commissioner Brewer at her commissioner comment last week. Mr. Norris, thank you very much for being here. Do you have comments or a presentation?
Yeah, I'll briefly summarize this item, and then I'll hand it off to Commissioner Brewer if she has any other items she wants to add to this. So again, for your consideration is a request from the 3rd District Council Commissioner for reallocation and expenditure of general fund reserves for fiscal year 26 in the amount of $25,000. This would go towards Project 1020 to fund hotel motel vouchers for overflow cold weather shelter needs during the remainder of this 2026 winter season. On December 31st, the commissioner submitted a request pursuant to the Board of County Commissioners amended rules of order for the BOCC to consider an agenda item for a future meeting of the board to consider this request. The chair approved adding the item to the administrative business meeting today. During the January 8th Board of County Commissioners meeting, the 3rd District Commissioner provided some comments and outlined some of the reasons why this request was coming forward, specifically due to the disruption and elimination of federal funding for homelessness programs which have created an unprecedented demand that exceeds current shelter capacity needs. requires immediate short-term assistance to address health and safety risks during extreme winter weather. Since the opening of the shelter on December 1st, Project 1020 has incurred more than $9,300 in hotel motel fees to house a portion of the overflow demand for its shelter. This short-term immediate need request enables the area continuum of care of homelessness cities and the county to continue to work on long-term solutions while meeting the short-term needs presented here. Sufficient general fund balance is available. These funds would be used specifically for this purpose and to accommodate overflow shelter demand beyond what Project 1020's current capacity is for the remainder of the season. Any remaining funds would be returned to the county at the end of the season. That concludes my comments.
Thank you very much. I'll give Commissioner Burr the first opportunity to comment as a commissioner. Typically what we do is when there's requests for public comment, we allow those commenters before debate questions from the Board of County Commissioners. So I want to continue with that. So I'd ask the clerk to let me know when we are ready to receive public comment on this issue. All right. I'll call on folks in the order that they registered. First, Rita Carr.
Good morning. My name is Rita Carr. I'm the Director of Community Planning with United Community Services. We are the lead agency for the Johnson County Continuum of Care on Homelessness. I'm here to speak in support of the proposed hotel funds that will help keep more of our unhoused neighbors out of the extreme cold over the next few months. Just in the 10-day forecast today, all of the lows are below freezing, and 6 of those 10 nights are in the teens or lower. These temperatures can truly be deadly, especially for those with chronic health conditions. It's critical that we continue the efforts towards affordable housing development to prevent many from losing their housing, and the efforts towards emergency sheltering options when someone does find themselves with nowhere to go. The annual point-in-time count is taking place here in a few weeks. This is a one-night count of people experiencing homelessness in both temporary shelter situations and those living outdoors and in their cars in our county. Looking at the last 10 years of point-in-time data, we see a 620% increase in the number of people experiencing unsheltered homelessness in our county. While hotel funds aren't a permanent solution, they can be life-saving in a community that doesn't have enough emergency beds for the people who need them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Christy Boffman.
Good morning. I'm Christy Boffman, Executive Director for United Community Services. Thank you, Commissioners and Chairman Kelly, for the opportunity to speak this morning. I wrote a bunch of stuff down, but as I was on my way here this morning, I was talking to my mom, as I often do on the highway when I'm driving between meetings. I was talking to my mom this morning, and I said, I'm so tired. I'm tired. We were just talking. I said, I'm tired. Everything's so difficult for our folks who are service providers, for the people relying on those services. We're tired, right? Things are very hard right now. But then I started talking to her about why I was coming to talk to the commission this morning, and how grateful I am for the ongoing support that we've seen from this commission in terms of providing for the needs of people experiencing homelessness. And I'm very grateful to see this proposal come forward today. So I'm here in strong support of this recommendation. I think it's hard for me to talk about homelessness without also talking about affordable housing. I know that we have seen dramatic increases in the cost, especially of rental units here in Johnson County, and the more people are spending their income on housing, the less they have to spend on things like healthy food or saving for emergencies. They become more unstable in their housing. So I just want to speak in favor of this recommendation. I think, as Rita said, we know that on Saturday, for instance, the high is 18 degrees. And I think that we will all probably sleep a lot better if we know that the folks who need shelter will be having access to a place to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Brian Perkins.
Brian Perkins here again, Olathe, Kansas, and I'm homeless. I was at Project 1020 last year, and I've taken several trips there this year for dinner to meet with community, and I couldn't support this more. If I put my toes and feet in the air right now, I would. So, as the full support, I've seen people feel saved there. I've seen people feel safe there. I could be 10, 12, 8 some days there and not be judged for being a dork. More loved for being a dork. More smiles for knowing that I can be 8, 12, and 10 some days and not be feared at looking at like I'm a child. I've also seen franticness when you have to tell somebody you don't have space for them. But also from that person that gets that no. I've seen it recently. There was a gentleman about a couple weeks ago that when I was there, and he was really positive about that. He'll be okay outside for a little bit longer. But I looked at Barb and I was watching her, and she goes, "I don't like this though," and I felt that. I've seen people get dropped off there when she's at capacity last year by police officers because there's nowhere to go on freezing cold nights. Like I said, I can't support this more than I already do. Again, these are steps, but like we've said, these are people's lives. Like it's real. Like there's frostbitten toes that have been in hands. This is not a joke. It's not a game. These are people's lives. So I couldn't be more support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins. That's all the folks who have registered for public comment. I do know that, and I'll just note a moment of personal privilege, that some folks did try to register after the time that registration has closed, and we do appreciate folks that want to come and speak. I want to be fair in the process, though, and adhere to the process. For example, I know Mr. Jose wanted to come and speak. Mr. Jose, your work precedes you. I think we all know where you stand on the issue, but I appreciate you being here, and I hope you can respect our determination of adhering to the meeting, but we do appreciate you being here. With that, I will go to Commissioner comments and questions. We'll start with Commissioner Brewer.
Thank you. And I'd also like to thank Barb McEvers, one of the founders of Project 1020, who's also today with us in the audience. This is, for me, this is very much a very narrow response to where we are at this point in time with where there is uncertainty and elimination, reduction, or freezing of federal funding that has real impact on programs and services that impact those experiencing homelessness. Not only shelter programs, but job programs, funding has been cut. Food programming has been cut. Emergency services dollars. We have an ecosystem that is very much in flux right now, and it's been having a real impact on our partnering agencies that our cities and our counties have been in collaboration with for decades. And so when we know that we have limited bed space in a seasonal shelter that is open December 1st to March 31st, and that bed space has been at capacity every day since the shelter's been open this year, we have to be thoughtful. The county is a partner. It's at the table on the continuum of care on homelessness. So we are actively engaged in how we move forward as a county, as agencies, as cities, as school districts, putting our arms around an issue to effective long-term solutions. This is not a long-term solution. This is really just being responsive to a period of time that we have identified, extreme weather, cold weather shelter, and what we do for safety issues for individuals experiencing homelessness. And so that's the genesis of this request. The math behind this request, it was based on meeting with some agencies and understanding what their negotiated rate is with participating hotels and basically doing the math. And also coming in with a very modest request. This request would be more than double if we were really meeting the capacity, over capacity figures that Project 1020 has been experiencing every night. And that's inclusive of people who are sleeping in their cars in the parking lot of 1020 because we're at capacity and we cannot exceed capacity in that shelter. I will make one note. When we think about these hotel motel vouchers, we're also, these dollars are also inclusive of understanding some food response, because the individual who is being placed in a hotel motel voucher situation is not participating in access to meal opportunities within the shelter. So it's really addressing that overnight shelter and that meal response in this request during the very protracted period of when this goes in effect to the end of the cold weather season. That's designated by the shelters when it can open and close of March 31st. I hope that answers any questions, but certainly I'm here, as is Mr. Norris, to help answer any other questions that our commissioners may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Allenbrand.
Thank you, Chair. Well, first of all, I struggle when I hear daggers being thrown at the chair and the commission for not doing work and getting things done on housing and homelessness. And I want to thank Barb McEver and her team of the work that she's done, because there would not be a place right now for them to stay if that wasn't being done. And Adam, the hours that you and your team, I know it's not just you, but we're supposed to be taking care of roads and bridges and all the other things as part of the county job, and you are working tirelessly to get that done so that there are warming spaces. I also look at the K-State Extension Office, the things that they've put together to try to provide food, the Area on Aging, what they have provided. We've got Habitat Housing that's coming up that has been a volunteer of lots of commissioners on this board to get housing for people that are in need. Driven Development that's working now on housing. The Olathe School District's Foundation, and I'm sure there's other schools that do that, but they have a staff person that's full-time that's working on finding housing for those families that are in need, clothing. My friends help with a drive every Christmas, provide clothing. Can you imagine if that wasn't being done, where we'd be today? This to me is not a long-term solution. I feel that we can't continue to keep throwing money. We need to find a solution, and I am going to work to volunteer my time. I think this needs to be something that we work within the community to get partners to help support, to try to find our goal towards a services with a wraparound. So that's going to be my goal to work, but I am going to support this, and I just thank everybody for all the work they've done. And I not that anybody's looking for credit, because I know they're not, but I know how many hours goes into the day with less sleep trying to get this done. So,
Thank you, Commissioner Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chairman, I have several questions. And Commissioner Brewer, you touched on a few of them, but I may ask for some elaboration if I could. But before I do, could someone, either Commissioner Brewer or Mr. Norris, could you elaborate on the comment that the federal funding has disrupted programs? Which programs are we talking about? Do you have some in mind or a list?
If I may, Mr. Norris, I do. As a matter of fact, let me just turn to the document that I have. So one of the key funding streams that is very narrowly and specifically around services addressing those experiencing homelessness. And I will defer, we have other expertise in the audience too who may have more specific information, but I'm just going to give an example of the Continuum of Care on Homelessness, NOFO, that is issued by HUD annually. And typically this NOFO comes out for the next year. sometime between May and August, and it's typically due at the end of October. This year, that NOFO, two things have happened. Last year, for the first time ever, they were piloting a 2-year NOFO, meaning that they went through a process, and the
Excuse me, are
NOFO
you-
is a notification of federal funding.
Okay, thank you.
So that's the acronym for NOFO. Anyway, they issued this grant process for the first time as a 2-year funding process. So agencies, and just to give you an idea, Johnson County, the geographic area, has its own continuum of care on homelessness. And in the last award, total, all programs and services within the geographic area qualified for about $1,061,000 in funding. Not only did this annual RFP, it did two things. One, they indicated they weren't going to honor the second year of funding. That issue went to court. Secondly, the competition for funding that typically is released in the summertime and due in October did not come out until mid-November. Then it was taken down, and then it was put back up, and then it was taken down, and now it's been put back up as of January 9th with applications due on the 9th of February. And it's very gray right now because it's up under the court case, and it says it'll take all steps necessary to process eligible renewals for the fiscal year 2025 COC funding pursuant. Keep in mind, fiscal year doesn't match actual calendar year, but it excludes obligation of funding and grant of any specific renewals. It is only the application as long as the court order is in effect. If the order is no longer in effect, they intend to implement a different NOFO. So there's a lot of confusion and disruption in when funding will be released, how much funding will be released, and what qualifies for that funding release. That's just one example of a handful of examples.
Commissioner Ashcraft had the floor. We're going to let him finish with his questions, but be mindful of
So there was,
topic.
NOFO is one of several that you're referring to.
I think they'd say significant concern regarding
okay.
funding of HUD within the fiscal year 2026 budget.
All right. So to continue then, the $9,300, do we have any idea how many people, how many room nights that covered, and how many room nights the $25,000 will cover? Because you made reference that the actual need was closer to $50,000 for the year?
So I can tell you that based on talking to 3 different organizations around negotiated rates, and I feel like that's a negotiated rate between an agency and a hotel. So I don't feel that it's my job to say what that negotiated rate is. But you take that rate times the number of nights. If we look at if this contract can be in place starting the last 10 days of January through March 31st. With the dollars, and that would be about 4.5 people a night. And they Project 1020 is currently averaging between 9 to 12 people who exceed the capacity, so they have to say no to for staying in the shelter beds. So that's why I'm saying that if I based it on their actual data of what they're exceeding on capacity, that number is around 10 a night. We're doing about 45%. We're meeting about 45% of that need with the fiscal request that I'm making.
Okay, very good. Mr. Chairman, I will defer, but I do have other questions.
I appreciate that. We'll come back to you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fast.
Yes. How do you define cold weather? Is there a certain temperature this would go into effect or not? Or just Adam?
Yep, the shelter 1020 operates regardless of the temperature from December 1st to March 31st. So I think this would just be overflow and depending on the night, yeah.
So during that time period,
Correct.
it doesn't
Yeah.
come into effect if it's 10 below, then they do a voucher. It's
Correct.
during that time period we would and I can't remember, was it last winter we had appropriated $175,000 to 1020, or was that the whole COVID period and allocations, or was that 2 winters ago?
I'm trying to recall, was that?
Last year, we made an allocation.
Was
to-
it for last winter?
Project 1020,
Okay,
yes.
okay, thank you. It just kind of all put it confused in my head when, I mean, 1020, you do incredible work. Thank you. I mean, we're very, I know, I mean, I don't know what we would do without you. I talked to Commissioner Brewer. I'd be willing to use, I'm very supportive of this, but to go to my church to see, and then I'm involved in Village, so I'm very involved in 2 large churches in Northeast. Would they be willing, to support kind of matching? Or, I mean, if you could provide me a flyer or UCS, so that, as Commissioner Allenbrand said, what can I do to maximize this even further with my contacts? And Christy, I'm with you. I'm tired. I mean, hearing about the mental health money that was cut and then now reversed. I mean, I'm just really tired and very worried about lives. When we cut mental health funding, we're impacting lives. Mental health funding saves lives. You save lives with providing housing supports, and our community is really it's very fragile right now when these basic supports are at risk.
Thank you, Commissioner Fast. I think everyone's had at least one opportunity. I'm going to take one. We'll hear a motion, then we'll go to Commissioner Ashcraft, if that's fair. I appreciate the item. I think we all care. Housing's been an issue that we've highlighted on our priority list for several years. I can understand the frustration of some, being that this is coming outside of the budget process, that there are always going to be requests that we have for funding different things, and we have to somehow match those and consider those as policymakers of where we want to put the limited resources that are entrusted to us. And so I understand and frankly empathize with that frustration. At the same time, though, we recognize that we don't exist in a vacuum, that we have reserves for a reason, that we have the ability to be nimble and innovative when circumstances arise that require action that we believe that the community would want us to use the resources to take. And I feel like this is one of those circumstances. I appreciate the matter being brought to our attention. I would hope that this is something that we consider during the budget process, and I know we will. I know how we are going to allocate resources to address the continued challenge of being unhoused in our community is very real, and it is increasing with federal cuts. It is being exacerbated. To Commissioner Fast's point, got an email from David Warm as we're sitting here about the cuts to Mark's SAMHSA grant and how that's going to be millions of dollars to mental health services, to 988 throughout our region. This is all very real. And so when we can have an opportunity, utilizing the diligence of our reserves and our fiscal prudence to impact and frankly save people's lives, we're going to do it. But I do continue to express the need with our board to balance these as best as possible during our budget process, which I look forward to doing. Commissioner Brewer, Commissioner Hanzlik, you haven't had an opportunity yet. I'm going to give you the floor, and then we'll hear a motion.
Thank you. Well, I certainly appreciate this and support this, but I did want to follow up on what Commissioner Fast said, and I would echo her challenge to community organizations, faith communities, to join us in helping provide funding for overflow hotel vouchers for Project 1020. I don't know what the cost is per night, but even if it's, say, $50, if you can donate $50, that's one night that someone could be in a hotel. So I appreciate Commissioner Fast's suggestion that this is an opportunity for others in our community to step up and help provide for this. I can't even imagine what Barb McEvers goes through every night, having to look somebody in the face and say, I don't have room. I remember when I was with Safe Home, we had similar situations, not because of cold weather necessarily, but it's it's just soul crushing when you have to do that. And this gives Project 1020 some additional options for those folks who might otherwise, they can't offer them anything. So very supportive of this.
Thank you. Commissioner Myers, you haven't had an opportunity yet.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I'm supportive of this item too, but I have some great concerns. But I do agree, this has to be something that we talk about in our budget process. It's got to be a part of it. But my concern is the amount of overflow. When we're talking about the possibility of 8 to 10, 12 overflow, in my mind, and Barb could speak to this better than I can, but I got to believe that overflow can be much, much greater than 10 on average. I've visited, I have heard, I have seen, but I agree. This is not going to solve a problem. It's going to create benefit for some that don't have benefit right now. But as far as coverage of overflow at 1020, I don't think this, and again, if I'm wrong, I want someone to tell me I'm wrong, but I don't think this touches the amount of overflow that there is. And of course, another thing that was added with this, which again, I think needs to be talked about in our budget discussions, but not only are we talking about cover for night, but we're also talking about food. And so, again, I think the needs, we all know, at least I believe we all know, that the needs are great. And, but I am supportive of this item as presented today, but I think it's got to have some really long discussion in our budget process.
All right, thank you. Now, everyone having had an opportunity to comment, we'll hear a motion from Commissioner Burr.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the board approve and authorize the 3rd District Commissioner's request for reallocation and expenditure of general fund balance reserves for fiscal year 2026 in an amount not to exceed $25,000 for Project 1020 to fund hotel motel vouchers for overflow cold weather shelter needs during the remainder of the 2026 season, and authorize the county manager or designee to develop procedures and execute the agreement in connection with this action.
Hanslick, second.
It's moved by Commissioner Burr, seconded by Commissioner Hanslick. Further discussion from Commissioner Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of questions and a few comments. Listening, though, to Commissioner Hanslick and her comment, maybe this is an opportunity for our friends at the Good Faith Network to step up and contribute. They have a great interest in this area, and I think it could be a potential resource. Question, though, Mr. Norris, how will the accounting for this money work? Will it be a grant, or will there be a process similar to some of the federal fundings where we offer resources but then require an accounting at some period of time?
Yeah, with any agreement we enter into and provide funding, we're going to create accountability when public dollars are being used, right? Our intent with this is we will draft we have standard grant agreements that we'll use in this case. We'll provide the grant funds and then have a reporting mechanism that we've developed that would account for, room nights, how many room nights, and the actual expenditures for each dollar that's used here.
Very good. Well, Mr. Chairman, I look at this, and this appears to be a measured approach. I'm a little bit uncomfortable that it's kind of an extraordinary budgetary item outside of the budget process. I think everyone on the commission is sensitive to that, and quite honestly, it's a de minimis amount, but some real-world impacts. But it does set a precedent in terms of how funds like this pop up during the year. And as we go into a fiscally focused era, I'm very sensitive to that. But having said that, I will tell you that I will be supportive of it, but I think it also lends to the argument of needing what I would call a housing czar. And Mr. Chairman, if your committee is at least in part intended to begin to focus all those resource issues on the continuum, then I hope this is part of those conversations and can have something that's more meaningful. So having said that, I agree it's not a permanent solution. I agree that it's a measured approach, and I will be supporting it.
Thank you. Commissioner Hanslick.
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up on Commissioner Ashcraft's comments, and I look forward to hearing from our Housing Subcommittee in regard to some suggestions moving forward. Despite some criticism we heard, this is a way for us to have people dig down deep into this issue and come up with some information and suggestions back to the full board. So I look forward to that.
Thank you. I see no further questions or requests for comment at this time. Therefore, I'd ask the clerk to please call the roll on Commissioner Brewer's motion.
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye, that's 7 in favor and none against. Is that consistent with your count?
It is.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Norris. That concludes the items that are on today's business session agenda. There has been a request for an executive session. So at this time, we're going to hear a motion for an executive session from Commissioner Hanslick.
I move that the board recess its open meeting and convene an executive session at 10:20 a.m. for a total period of 20 minutes for the purpose under KSA 754319B2 of consultation with legal counsel, which would be privileged in the attorney-client relationship to discuss a non-elected personnel matter involving the Department of Public Health and to protect the employee's individual privacy interests, and to reconvene in open session in this room at approximately 10:40 a.m. The county manager, deputy county manager, assistant county manager Darren Leiker, director of public health Charlie Hunt, director of human resources Kayla Holloway, and chief counsel will attend this discussion relating to the Department of Public Health.
Allenbrand, second.
So moved by Commissioner Hanslick and seconded by Commissioner Allenbrand. Seeing no questions or comments, would the clerk call the roll, please?
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye, that's 7 in favor and none against. Is that consistent with your count?
It is.
Very good. Well, we're going to be in recess for about 20 minutes. Thank you all very much for your patience. Record out of executive session. No action is being taken by the board at this time. Therefore, we have concluded all the items on today's printed agenda, and we are adjourned. We will take 10 minutes to get downstairs for the study session, which will start at approximately 10:55. With that, we're adjourned. Thank you all very much.